Well, the deep freeze continues across our area. We're going to talk about it and the brush with a very strong coastal storm on the weekend here, once again. First of all, showing you the satellite image here, showing you the deep freeze that we're in. The snow cover across Long Island. You'll notice here in the bays, ice is forming, and this is going to probably be completely iced over. Pretty sure all the ferries are suspended. You see ice starting to develop here in the Mechanic Bay as well. And we also have ice in the Hudson as well, which you probably can't see, but there is some ice in the Hudson down Barnegat Bay. So ice is all icing over now as the bitter cold takes hold across the area, and you can see just how large the snow cover. Look at the snow cover. This was the satellite image from this morning. You can see how far the snow cover goes across. I mean, this just huge area here across the country. And we were clear in the morning, but high clouds came in by late morning. You can see them coming in now. And you were even some jet junk in there. Despite this bitterly cold Arctic air, we really haven't had any clear days. Maybe up here in Maine, they were clear most of the day without that stuff coming in. But currently, the satellite image, we have skies again starting to clear out a little bit here. And looking at the CONUS view again, here's the large view. You see that there's a little storm over here, and this is the energy that we're going to have to watch. This is the energy actually we're going to have to watch for the weekend storm that will develop. And you can see still some lake effect off the lakes. You'd think the lakes would be frozen completely by now. We'll actually should probably go back to the MODIS and look at that for a moment. Let's see if we can see what the status of the Great Lakes is, if they're frozen. No, I still see plenty of open water here on this lake. Kind of hard to see due to cloud cover here. I don't know if that's... still see open water on these lakes, even despite the fact that I think by the time this deep freeze is done, you're going to see a lot more ice on this map here developing. Anyway, satellite image. Let's go over and just to note about the skies. One thing I've noticed at night in particular, we're going to look at some. This is from last night. And I did actually go to the lake in Massapequa last night and tried to get some pictures here of the lake at night. You can see, though, a lot of light pollution again. And a lot of... Why do we have so much haze in the air? Sometimes I notice with Arctic air masses, you get a really tight inversion there and traps some moisture, I guess, and that's what causes all the haze. But you can see here another picture, and you can see that haze in the sky of a pine. This was in Bethpage, but you can see again that it's not really a nice dark sky. We do have the moon out, half moon, but kind of interesting to note that. Again, not really a very dark sky, a lot of haze in the sky, and it was the same for the night as well. This is by Hempstead Lake. Yeah, I had to walk by here because I had to go to the supermarket, so you can see here what it looked like here, and same deal again here. See all that, and some upper level clouds too, but these lakes are pretty much frozen at this point. So let's take a look at our current temperatures because it's very, very cold out there. At least it feels very cold out there. We're in the teens, 18 degrees at Farmingdale. So we've been in the teens. Today we have managed to get to the 20s each day, so we'll talk about that. I thought it was only going to be in the teens today. Is there radiational cooling? Yes, if you're in the Pine Barrens, West Hampton is down to 7, and I have a feeling they're going to see 0 or perhaps below 0, and a lot of us will see single digits by the morning. Also, west of Toms River, it's 9 degrees at Ocean County Airport. And take a look at this, 2 degrees at Coyle Field in the Pine Barrens there. So the Pine Barrens are going to be very cold tonight. The winds are fairly light, and even with a little bit of wind, the snowpack is still the cold air is... You're still going to get some radiational cooling tonight. So let's first start with the lows for this morning here. What do we get down to? Teens generally? Yeah, teens. The West Hampton got down to 5, it looks like. But for the most part, lows were in the teens. 10 degrees, though, at Islip, 14 degrees at Farmingdale. And at LaGuardia, 17. Central Park got down to 15. Kennedy got down to 15. And looking at Jersey, Let's see. Oh, yeah. It looks like it got down to 0 at Miller Air Park. Yep. So it did get down to 0 in the New Jersey Pinelands this morning. It was pretty cold. They're definitely getting that radiational cooling. But look at the high temperatures today. We were in the mid-20s. Generally, so 23 at Islip for a high, 25 at West Hampton, 23 at Central Park, 25 at the Guadia, 22 at JFK. And as we go into Jersey, maybe a little bit warmer there. They got up to 27 at Miller Air Park. So a little bit warmer there. So cold, but not record-breaking. But just the persistence of it is just unbelievable. And it will start getting a lot colder, I think, as we head into tomorrow and Friday, especially. Going over our climate statistics for today at Islip. According to this, high of 23 and a low of 10. And then we go over yesterday's climate statistics. We had a high of, yesterday was a little colder with a high of 21 and a low of 14. Let's go and look at, yesterday we had more clouds. Today we had a little more sun in the morning, so it helped, I guess, get the temperatures a little higher. And as far as the winds go, winds are northwest now. There's change in the wind direction, which is why it's going to get colder, because if you look at the winds yesterday and both today, we had more of a westerly and southwesterly flow. It's going to go a little more northwesterly going into the night here, so that's probably going to drop the temperatures down. And looking at these surface temperatures here, you could see the single digits upstate, and even below 0. Going here into Midwest, you could see single digits as well. Nothing crazy, but we do have cold weather advisories in place for Nassau County in New Jersey, but not Suffolk. Why they don't have Suffolk, I don't know. This is again the logic of Upton. So cold weather advisory in effect from 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. Thursday. And you can see this large area of cold air. And again, we do have even quick stream cold watches. And look at this, even down into Florida, we got 30s into the northern part of Florida. And even if you're in Miami, you're dealing with 50s, I think, or 61 right there. So this cold air is going far south for sure. And we still got lake effect advisories as well with that. So, let's go over to the weather map here and show you what we've got. So, not really showing another Arctic front, but the continued Arctic air keeps coming down. And we're going to get into even colder temperatures tomorrow, most likely. So, let's go look at the weather models now, and we'll start with the GFS here. You can see the little low there, and then you can see the isobars tighten tomorrow, and that's going to bring more of a stronger northwest flow, bringing in colder air. And you see there's another Arctic high building down. Here we are Friday, Saturday, and here's the storm that has to be watched. So this is the storm. The GFS right now on the 18Z run is keeping it well offshore. So we wouldn't see any precipitation, but we are still going to get wind and coastal impacts from it, even if it doesn't hit us with any snowfall. This is the 18Z GFS. 12Z, I think, is a little closer. So the GFS is shifting the track further east. However, again, look at Cape Cod getting into some heavy action. That's the 12Z, and this is the 18Z right here on the GFS of this system. So you see this big Arctic high coming down. All right, so that's probably going to help push it away. Looking at the European model here. I'll be back tomorrow night to discuss it, and possibly Friday night as well, depending on what happens. So here again, that Arctic air eye builds down. The GFS, the Euro, though, takes a little further to the west and brushes us, while southern New England and Boston would get a pretty extreme blizzard out of it. We would just get brushed with a little bit of light snow. It's a large storm, so the question is, how close does that precipitation come? And again, look at how tight those isobars are. That's pretty crazy tight. So that's what the European is showing. The icon, the 18Z icon here, icon keeps it suppressed. There is going to be a really tight gradient here because you have a very strong high pressure Arctic high and then a very deep low. So not only does that mean a lot of wind, and we're probably going to need a wind advisory, maybe even high wind warnings in certain parts of the area, and gale warnings and everything like that. But there's going to be a sharp cutoff between snowfall and perhaps heavy snowfall and barely anything at all. That's pretty much what we're seeing here. Let's go to the upper air here. See if we can spot any differences in the upper air. We don't get that product with this. All right, we'll go to the European first. No, not the jet stream, the upper air. All right. So here's the European. All right, so there's that trough, and you can see it dives the trough, and then it just a little more of a negative tilt here. All right, so when we look at the GFS, it's just a little more flatter, ever so much. That little difference right there. So either way, we're going to get into some more Arctic air again. So going back to we can keep it on the GFS, not going to really make a difference, but we go to this temperature anomaly chart, and you'll see here that we get the bright pinks now tomorrow morning across our area, and bright pinks on Friday as well. So that's it's the core of the Arctic air coming in over us, and we're still dealing with it Saturday. And look, with that storm, it's going to pull the Arctic air down all the way to Florida, perhaps. So that's some pretty crazy stuff right there. So let's take a closer look at what we got going on in the shorter range here. Obviously, in the shorter range, we're going to be dealing with some absolutely frigid extreme cold here as we are in the deep freeze. And we will go to the HRRR first, look at the precipitation here. You can see ocean effect snow, so that's really cold. I wonder if there's going to be sea smoke, perhaps, at the beach visible. Sometimes if it's really cold, you can get sea smoke just due to the temperature. Sea smoke is basically steam off the ocean because the ocean is so much warmer than the air. I wonder if we're going to see that tomorrow. And then for Friday, you can see here, again, dry for the next couple of days. No threats for precipitation. It's all going to be about this Arctic air. So here we go. Wind flows and dew points, northwest winds. The dew points start very low, below zero. Maybe they come up, moderate a little bit during the day. And I'm wondering if that moderation of the dew points possibly is what's going to cause some cloud cover tomorrow, again, to develop. And tomorrow night, you see the dew points drop again. And then as we get into Friday, you're in the real core of this Arctic air, and the dew points. These are the dew points. The dew points are at 0 or below here, so this is real Arctic air. And looking at the temperatures here, so this morning, and the HRRR has been a little bit low on the temperatures, but I still think we're going to see single digits for the most part, and again below 0 in the Pine Barrens for sure. And then tomorrow, I think, is going to be a day where we may not see 20 degrees. Maybe we'll see 20 degrees. It does show at 20 here, so it's possible even with the snow cover, we'll get up to 20 somehow. But it's going to be a struggle to get there. And then tomorrow night, same deal again. Tomorrow night, even colder, I think. And probably single digits to a lot of places are going to see single digits to around 0. And if there's radiational cooling, which there likely will be, below 0 in the Pine Barrens for sure. So below 0, and even some spots that aren't in the Pine Barrens could get close to 0 Friday morning perhaps. And then Friday's going to be colder. Friday, I think we only see teens. I don't think we see 20 on Friday because we have that the core of that Arctic air going over us at this point. These are air temperatures we're looking at here. All right. I will look at soundings now. So we'll start noon tomorrow, sounding over Long Island. Let's see what we've got here. And yeah, these two lines are kind of close together. Probably the same deal over New Jersey, a little bit further apart. It's a 17Z tomorrow, so roll it back in the morning. Probably tend to be a little bit better, but those two lines are close together, so that could mean some cloud cover forming. We'll have to see about that. And then as we go into Friday, first of all, we'll look at the sounding for Friday morning here as well, to kind of show you what we have here. So this is the sounding. You can see how cold it is here, but look at this. Those lines are still pretty far apart for Friday morning, and then for during the day Friday. Yeah, those lines are very close together across Long Island. They're very close. Could mean some cloud cover Let's see if it's any different over New Jersey. A little bit further apart, but still, I don't know if we're going to get any clear days. I think we're still dealing with some cloud cover. Today we dealt with some high cloud cover at jet chunk. Tomorrow it may be more of a lower level cloud cover, stratocumulus. That's what it looks like anyway, according to the HRRR model. We'll go to the RGEM. That's our other sky model we can look at. All right, so here's the RGEM for tomorrow, and it doesn't really show much cloud cover. The RGEM kind of underestimates it. I think it underdoes it a little bit. I think there's going to be a little more than that in the afternoon, but I think hopefully there'll be more sunshine tomorrow. Might start with some clouds in the morning, and then hopefully we get some more sunshine and fairly clear. You can see the ocean effect clouds, though, affecting part of. You never know. It could be a flurry out there, perhaps on the east end, and then for Friday, I think would be probably a best chance to see mostly sunny skies. There's some high clouds try to work their way in from the south, and that's from the coastal system, and then we'll see how far north they get on Saturday. This, again, is the RGEM model. Now, if we look at the FV3, which is the GFS high resolution, it's got a totally different opinion on things with cloud cover. So it does start tomorrow clear, but then you see the clouds kind of building later on in the afternoon, then really peaking in the late afternoon, and then by the evening they kind of dissipate. Then Friday, it has clouds coming from trying to build from the south. This is the GFS. That would be higher clouds at this point. So we went through it, and we can also look at the sounding on this too. So you can see here Friday. So all these models have different opinions on things. This has more of an upper level moisture issue, whereas the HRRR is more of a lower level moisture issue. It's kind of interesting how they can't really see eye to eye on cloud cover. So how are they going to see eye to eye on that storm? Well, I don't know. So I'll have to see. This is midday Friday here. Kind of actually looks okay. Actually, oh yeah, a little close together, but not like Long Island where they're very close and almost touching. So because we have a temperature drop and we don't have a big gap in the temperature and the dew point. The temperature is close to the dew point at a lot of levels of the atmosphere. So yeah, the air is actually fairly saturated, even though it's cold. It's not dry. It is dry, but it's because we don't have a big separation. So anyway, we looked at all that stuff. Let's go and look at the weekend a little more in detail here, and do have the NAM 12. Let's see how far this goes out. And this looks like this would have the storm missing us, by the way. So this one has the storm missing us. So right now I'm leaning toward it going out and missing us at this point. That's what I think is going to happen. We may get brushed. The east end may get brushed, but right now I'm not going to really make any predictions on it, but I don't think we're going to see a big snowmaker here for our area. So right now, at this point, it still needs to be watched. But right now, the models seem to kind of agree on keeping this thing more suppressed. Its Arctic air is so... this is a much stronger Arctic high than we had prior to the last storm. So it's going to suppress it much more and keep it offshore, I think. But it's still going to be a very intense storm. So that's the other thing. We have the Canadian model. Let's see what the Canadian does here. So the Canadian sort of brushes the east end. Here's the Canadian. So it's sort of similar to the Euro track a little bit. But it still wouldn't be a lot of snow. It would be, let's see. Yeah, the east end would get, the east end can get a lot, but we would only see like a moderate snowfall. I think this is too far west. All right. GFS has nothing. The Icon, let's see what the Icon has. The Icon has nothing either. So, I mean, there are a few models that take it a little further west, Canadian and the Euro right now. But we have to see. But I still think that it's not going to be a big snow for our area. But I think that if you're out east, especially from Riverhead on east, you might have to watch for some snowfall with this. So let's go to windy.com. We could take a look at what the European thinks about this storm. Let's go and look at the storm on the European model here. So I first want to go over the wind, all right, because the wind is going to be, these aren't even wind gusts, these are just sustained winds. And you can see some really strong sustained winds here. So the Cape's probably going to need a high wind warning, Cape Cod. But let's go look at wind gusts because it's going to be pretty high. So you can see European here. Here's the European. You can see how close those strong wind gusts get. They would start probably late Saturday night into Sunday morning. You can see coastal areas possibly getting close to 50 miles an hour. She need a wind advisory and perhaps even a high wind warning for places like Montauk where a gust could be 61 miles an hour and 63. And yeah, definitely would need a wind advisory for Sunday for sure. And if there is any snow falling, it's going to be blowing around, and that you never know. You could get, it does. You don't actually need heavy snow for a blizzard. You can have blowing snow and still have a blizzard. So I think somebody is going to get a blizzard warning out of this storm. Most likely on the Cape. Take a look, 81 mile an hour wind gusts there. So that's going to be a pretty, this is an area here, Cape Cod and Nantucket. I think that's an area that I think is that they need to watch this storm closely. But I think for us, I think it's a brush. Now, this is the European model. So let's see what we got for total snowfall accumulation for the storm. New snow from the storm. So let's move it over here and let's see what we've got. Oops, too far. So here we go. So you can see, it gives them Montauk 7.2 inches, Hampton Bays. But there's a sharp cutoff once you get further west, like the middle part of Long Island, maybe 2 inches. And the Toms River, maybe 1.5 inches. It is going to be cold, so it will be fluffy. So it could be a little more of a fluff factor to it. And any snow that falls will accumulate everywhere. So it will have to be plowed again. But we'll have to watch. This is the further west track that the European has. And this is what a further west track would look like at this point with snowfall accumulations. Waves, this is the other thing on the ocean from the storm. Yeah, I think the ocean's going to really kick up from the storm quite a bit. And you can see offshore the kind of waves, so there could be coastal impacts as well. Really could be some decent waves with this on the coast there from this storm. So this is going to be a pretty powerful coastal low. I might add. So let's. I guess we'll wrap up soon here on this. So again, this is going to be a storm that will have to be watched for sure. Either way, it's going to be quite windy. And let me go to the Ventus sky, see what that has for the storm as well. So we'll look at that. And you can see here's the Ventus sky for the night. Again, look at this already having temperatures. I think this might be just a little too low, but this is the Ventus sky again for tonight. And you see here in the morning, you're going to be starting off in the single digits and even below zero, especially over if there's radiational cooling. It is showing wind. You see the arrows moving, so it is showing wind. But that doesn't. It's not a very strong wind. The wind gusts are only 15 miles an hour. That may not be enough to stop the radiational cooling from happening in a lot of these areas. So, yeah, I think the Pine Barrens are going to get below zero in the morning, and then we recover tomorrow to possibly the 20. But Friday is going to be even colder. So here's Friday, much, much colder here. So, we're going to struggle to the teens. Friday is going to be the absolute bitterest day of them all. And Saturday probably won't be all that much warmer. And this is the kind of cold air we have to work with with the storm now. So this is the icon model showing the wind that we would have on Sunday. So it will be quite windy. Even if we don't have any precipitation, it will be quite windy. And it'll still be cold, temperatures in the 20s, and but no precipitation. It would have the precipitation. Let's go precipitation here. It would have it off to the south and the east here. So it would miss us completely. This is the icon model here. We would have. But as far as wind gusts go, again, these are some of the wind gusts that you'd have, mainly along the Cape. This is the further east track, so the further east it gets, the less wind and coastal impacts we would have from the storm. You can see right there, again, some of those strong winds there that we would have there coming into the Cape. And we can always change. All right, some models, I think this is the one that can... Let's show the GFS one. I want to look at the GFS. So here's the GFS one for Sunday with the wind gusts. All right, so I think Sunday, a wind advisory is probably going to be a good bet for our area. But right now, it's just all about that frigid cold that we're going to be dealing with. So Hopefully, I would love to go see some pines, but it's going to be rough being out there, especially on Friday. But if it's sunny, I got to try. But anyway, that is all. Thanks for watching. Good night. Stay warm.